corrupt cops who were jailed for life. This cop is named Daniel Holtzclaw. He cried after being sentenced to 263 years in prison. This was for assaulting many women. He would go to poor neighborhoods and seek out women with criminal records. He would also demand intimate favors, in exchange for him not arresting the women. Thankfully, women came forward and he was caught, eventually being handed a 263-year prison sentence. This cop is named Roy Oliver. On May 5th, 2017, he was called to a party. When he arrived, he heard gunshots, so he fired 3 rounds into a car, killing unarmed 15-year-old Jordan Edwards. At first, Roy Oliver said the car was driving towards him in an aggressive manner, but body cam footage later showed that Jordan's car was actually driving away. Roy Oliver was sentenced to 15 years in prison for ending Jordan's life. Secrets police don't want you to know. Police always touch the back of your car when they pull you over. This leaves their DNA and fingerprints on your car. So if something bad happens to the cop during the stop, then the vehicle can be identified and located. This technique has saved many cops' lives. If you're ever taken to a police station, they will offer you a glass of water, but you should always say no. That's because the drink can be used to get to your fingerprints and DNA. Because the glass of water is their property, they don't even need a warrant for your DNA. If you see one of these on your car, then be careful. It means the police are likely tracking your location. This is called a star chase. These are launched from police cars onto suspect vehicles. The front has a sticky adhesive and the back has a GPS tracking device. This allows cops to monitor your car in real time and know where you are. Prison guards who had relationships with inmates. This is Tina Gonzalez. She was a prison guard at the Fresno County Jail in California, but in 2021, she was arrested. It turned out she'd been having relations with many prisoners in the jail. She would sneak in contraband for many of her lovers, and became rather famous in prison for doing what she did. Tina would also warn her lovers of upcoming searches of their cells. Tina was sentenced to 210 days behind bars, and 2 years of probation. This is Vicky White, a prison guard from Alabama. While at work, she fell in love with a murderer and inmate named Casey White. One day, she helped Casey escape. They used a police car to get away, resulting in a massive police chase. Eventually, they crashed their car. Casey White was taken back to prison, but Vicky sadly passed away. This is Nancy Gonzalez. She was a guard at a New York prison. That's where she met Ronell Wilson. Ronell Wilson was behind bars for ending the lives of 2 undercover cops. Eventually, Nancy became pregnant with Ronell's child. Nancy was arrested and sentenced to 1 year behind bars, but she went on to give birth to Ronell's child, which she ironically named Justice. KKK members reacting to life sentences. This is Jeremy Christian. In 2017, he was on a train in Portland, Oregon. That's when he began shouting very rude remarks. 3 people stepped in to try and make him stop, but that's when Jeremy pulled out a knife. He ended 2 people's lives and injured 1 other. He was captured on CCTV casually walking away, but was later caught and given 2 life sentences plus 51 years. But when he was given the sentence, he had a massive freakout in court. This is Edgar Ray Killen. In 1964, he took the lives of 3 civil rights activists. Him, along with various accomplices, ran them off the road. He then ended all of their lives and burned the car. He thought he got away with the crime. That was until 2005, when new evidence emerged. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison. Given that he was 80 years old at the time, this meant a life sentence. This 100-year-old man is hiding his face in court. This 100-year-old German man, identified only as Joseph, appeared in court. He was so ashamed for his crime, he hid his face behind a blue folder. But what did he do? Well, his crime was actually from World War II. He was a guard at one of Germany's infamous prison camps, working there between 1942 and 1945. It's said he oversaw the killings of more than 3,500 people. He was able to get away for over 82 years until he was finally caught. He was only given a 5-year sentence, but as he's already 100 years old, this means he likely won't make it out alive. Some people said this man's too old to go to prison, But considering what he did, do you agree or not? Judges who freaked out in court. This judge was sentenced to prison time. She'd been found guilty of misusing her position as a judge. This was to help her brother out in his own court case. When this judge was found guilty by another judge, she freaked out. She tried to lie on the floor and had to be dragged away to jail by cops. This judge got super angry with the convict. The convict, Camilla Gamet, had taken her boyfriend's life. She kept being rude and disrespectful the entire court case. And that's when the judge said, "I hope you die in prison."
I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
This judge put tape on a convict's mouth. Franklin Williams was in court, but he wouldn't stop talking. So that's why this judge ordered cops to put tape over his mouth. Even when this guy had tape on his mouth, he kept talking anyway. Eventually, the judge did apologize for doing this, and recused himself from the case. As for the chatty convict, he went to jail. Convicts reacting to death sentences. This is Markeith Lloyd. He was on the run for ending his girlfriend and unborn child's life. That's when he was spotted at a Walmart. Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton pulled up to arrest Markeith, but Markeith shot her outside the Walmart. Eventually, Markeith was apprehended, losing an eye during the arrest. He was given a death sentence by the judge. When he heard this news, he freaked out in court. He began saying that he was being set up, and the police were trying to kill him.
But somebody else I absolutely don't know nothing about, and they frame me,
This is Caius Veiovis. This man is a killer and also a Satan worshipper. He had plastic surgery to put horns on his head, and got the number of Satan, 666, tattooed on his forehead. He was a member of a motorbike gang, and was arrested for kidnapping and killing 3 people. Many compared his looks to the Star Trek character Gul Dukat. He was given a death sentence for his crimes. This is Martez Abram. One day while working at Walmart, he threatened a co-worker. For this, he was fired. So the next day, he came to the Walmart armed, and ended 2 people's lives. He also tried to set the Walmart on fire, but thankfully was stopped. He was given a death sentence in court, and when he was showed his crimes, he also freaked out and began crying. This is why Japanese prisons are the scariest in the world. Japan is known for having the most brutal prisons in the world. Everything about the prisoners' lives is controlled. They're not allowed to write anything. They're told when to sit or stand in their cells, meaning they can't lean, lie down, or randomly walk around their own cells. They're also told the correct way to sleep. They're also not allowed to read, talk, or move in their cells. They have to march everywhere in prison, and have to work for 12 hours a day. They're also told when and how to speak. They have to speak in a low tone or they could be punished. They're also told where to look. Prisoners must look down at all times. If they break these rules, they get punished. They get screamed at by the guards, and may be given less food for up to a week. If you break too many rules, you'll get solitary confinement for 2 months. Prisoners also get what's known as periods of reflection. Do you think Japanese prisons are too brutal or not?